8 million children live in a household with an addicted parent. That's nearly 1 in 10 kids in America that live in a household where either their mother, their father, or both parents have a substance abuse problem. I want to welcome Nikki Sanchez to the show today. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Dick.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Nikki, at what point, what age in your life did you realize or think maybe something was different in your household?
Probably about 6 or 7.
About 6 or 7. And what was that?
We were constantly going on vacations, and my parents always used to get in arguments because my mom used to sneak along alcohol on trips. So we'd always catch them arguing, and it made vacations a lot more uncomfortable and difficult.
Okay. What other things were different in your household, maybe than you didn't notice with your friends' households?
Well, when I went along on trips with my friends, I never used to have to breathalyze their parents before we got in the car.
Wow.
So, I mean, we spent a lot less time with my mom than other parents spent with their kids, and it was just a lot more difficult.
How about school? How was school? Were you involved in sports in school?
I did some extracurricular sports and stuff, not a whole lot, but I was on the soccer team for a couple of years.
Now, was mom at the games and stuff like mom and dad come to the games?
They came to some of them. I mean, one parent was pretty much always there.
Yeah. How has growing up been different from your friends growing up in your social circles that you've seen?
Well, school was always my safe haven. I used to love going to school just to be able to get away, and I was always striving to succeed because I thought that was the way I could please my parents.
Okay, so you were looking to please your mom and dad?
Yeah, to get them to stop arguing, because I always used to think it was my fault that they were arguing about something I had done.
At what point did you realize it wasn't something that you did and what your parents were actually arguing about, which was your mom's alcoholism?
I mean, I guess it wasn't until I was 9 and I asked my mom if it was my fault that she told me it wasn't, that I really understood that it wasn't really my fault until she had fully explained it to me. And the program I went to help also explained to me that it wasn't my fault, and I was able to be introduced to other kids who thought maybe it was their fault and learned that it wasn't.
Okay, so your mom ended up going to treatment. How old were you when your mom went to treatment?
I was 9 when she went fully in treatment, but I was around 4 when she started doing outpatient therapy and stuff.
Okay. So it was 5 years from 4 to 9 that your mom was kind of in and out of her addiction. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how have things changed as far as your relationship with your mom now that she's gotten help?
We're definitely a lot closer now. I know that we have a really open relationship. We share a lot of stuff that I guess my friends don't really share with their parents, so they told me. Just we're a lot more open about relationships and dealing with the stresses and about drugs and alcohol, and we talk about stuff, and we're actually a lot more comfortable with each other because we know that I know that my mom will always accept me and that she trusts me and that I can be honest with her without her blowing up.
Are you afraid that your mom's going to relapse again?
I used to be, but I'm not anymore, just because I've realized that she has a really strong support system through not only her family, but she has a lot of friends who deal with the same problems. So I'm a lot more comfortable with the fact that she's not going to relapse.
Okay. How about yourself? Your experience with your mom and the household that had alcoholism in it, how has that changed your views and attitude towards alcohol, towards drugs? Because someone your age, your points of view may be, I'm not sure, but maybe a little different than some of your peers.
Well, they are. I realize that alcohol, while it allows people to have more fun, it's not exactly a safe substance. Not only the effects on your actual body, but the effects on you mentally. I'm a lot more safeguarded about it. I know it's going to happen. I know it's high school. But I try to voice the fact that I think it should be done in moderation more than just going out and getting hammered every night. Some high school kids, I know it's a lot more about stressing the fact that if kids are going to do it, to doing it in moderation, doing it smartly, not getting behind the wheel, always having a DD, a designated driver, just safety in doing it, because I know it's going to happen.
Are you ever afraid that you could end up an alcoholic like your mother was because it runs in the family?
I am, but it also leads me to be more careful with how much I drink, how often. It's just a lot more of a caution than as open about it as some other teens are.
We're joined now by Nikki's mom, Nora Sanchez. Nora, welcome to Inside Addiction.
Thanks, Dean.
We're talking today about 8 million children that live in a household in America with either their mother, their father, or both parents are substance abusers. It's nearly 1 in 10 children that's either a mom or dad or both parents are either alcoholics or drug addicts. It's a growing problem in the country. And first, I wanted to thank you for joining us on the show and allowing your daughter to come and share her experience, because a lot of people, there's 25 million Americans that are addicted to alcohol and drugs, but there's so many other people that are affected by addiction. Your children, your husband, your wife, your sister, your brother, your co-workers, your neighbors. So tell me, what was a turning point and what was your bottom?
My absolute bottom was when Nikki was 9 and she came to me and she had big brown eyes and she just looked at me and said, you know, was it something I did that caused you to drink again? And at that point I really thought I'd rather be dead. And something inside of me just changed, and I knew I was willing to do whatever it took to get sober, to stay sober. You know, up until that point, I don't think I was really willing to go to any length to do whatever it took. At that point, something inside of me just knew that whatever it took, I would do it. It didn't matter.
How was it being a mom and being an alcoholic and raising a child at the same time? We heard Nikki tell briefly about how she feels as though the alcoholism affected her. Mm-hmm. How do you think alcoholism and addiction affected you while you were actively using and being a mom? What stands out in your mind?
Well, you know, during the day I was like super mom, getting everything done and running around because I had my eye on the prize. At the end of the day, I knew that if I got everything accomplished, I could have my drink. And so every day I was running around and, you know, getting like a super mom. And but then I had an injury. Then I started drinking more for the pain, and started drinking earlier and earlier in the day. And that was very difficult because at that time my kids were 1 and the other one had just turned 3.
Wow.
And I had a neck injury where I had 3 herniated discs, but one was impinging on my spinal cord. And the pain was so bad that I had like shooting pains down my arm and everything. I really wasn't able to do much. And the doctor had put me on some muscle relaxants, but they worked much better with the alcohol. And that's when my addiction really started to take hold. And at that point, you know, I just would do all I could do to get through the day, you know, trying to get the kids taken care of, and you know, get meals made. I couldn't really accomplish anything more than that, and because I was drinking for the pain, and you know, if in the morning I would get up and any driving I had to do because I really didn't want to drink and drive, and you know, so I would get up and I would do my grocery shopping or whatever, but then it was really just trying to accomplish what I needed to accomplish,